Green flag at the back. Here come the lights. The Canadian Grand Prix is underway. George Russell gets the launch.
What if the most heated moment of the Canadian Grand Prix wasn't caught by the cameras, but was caught on the radio? One message, never aired, just changed how fans are seeing the McLaren meltdown between Norris and Piastri. And the twist? It came straight from inside Red Bull. Lap 67. Tension on the main straight. Norris goes for it. Piastri holds his line. Contact. We saw the crash. We saw Norris wreck his car and instantly own up. All my fault. He apologized over the radio. He apologized in the paddock. A class act move, no doubt. But behind the scenes, something else was brewing. Televised team radio now reveals Red Bull engineer Giampiero Lambiase was quick to blame Piastri. His words to Verstappen? Clear. Piastri put Norris onto the grass and into the wall. Wait, what? That's not what fans, pundits, or even Verstappen himself later agreed on. Max backed up George Russell's take that there was never a real gap for Norris to even attempt the move. But Lambiase's initial heat-of-the-moment judgment tells us just how split-second and chaotic these moments really are, even for the top minds on the pit wall. Did Piastri squeeze too much? Was Norris too aggressive? It's no longer a clear-cut Norris messed up story, and the plot thickens. While McLaren were dealing with their own implosion, Verstappen and Russell were reigniting a rivalry that's never really cooled off. During the late race safety car, Verstappen momentarily pulled ahead of Russell, something you're absolutely not allowed to do. Russell immediately flagged it on the radio. Max fired back, calling out Russell for falling too far behind the safety car. Another potential penalty.
Really slow, what is he doing?
It was a high-stakes chess match behind the scenes, with both drivers playing by the rulebook, but using it as a weapon. Red Bull lodged an official protest, accusing Russell of erratic driving. The stewards? Not interested. Russell kept the win, and Max had to settle for 2 pesos. But this wasn't just about position. Verstappen came into Montreal with penalty points hanging over him. One wrong move, and a race ban was on the table. Russell knew it. His cheeky post-quali comment said it all. I've got a few more points on my license to play with. Even Jacques Villeneuve chimed in on the Norris-Piastri incident, suggesting Piastri was gradually moving left and made things tighter than they should have been. In his words, it was a little bit nasty. Inside McLaren, expect some serious post-race debriefs. Inside Red Bull, they've got Austria up next, their home race, and a fired-up Verstappen with something to prove. What happens when your only golden rule is don't hit your teammate, and you break it? At McLaren, where team orders don't exist and trust is everything, Lando Norris just shattered the one line he wasn't supposed to cross, and Martin Brundle didn't hold back. You could feel it coming. 2 drivers chasing their first world championship. No team orders, equal machinery, and just enough rivalry to turn every overtake into a risk. At the Canadian Grand Prix, the powder keg finally exploded. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri were locked in a high-stakes McLaren standoff, fighting not for the win, but for pride, points, and momentum in the title hunt. Piastri had the track position, but Norris was faster. And when the opportunity came, Lando lunged. First at the hairpin, then again down the back straight, and then contact. Norris clipped the rear of Piastri's car, trying to squeeze into a disappearing gap, damaging his front wing and ending his race against the pit wall. Piastri stayed alive, salvaging P4 after a quick stop under the safety car. But Norris, 0 points. And a golden rule, broken. Brundle's take, brutal but fair. Lando seemed to persevere down that left-hand side when it wasn't on, just very clumsy and sort of unnecessary. He didn't let Piastri off the hook entirely, saying Oscar wasn't being particularly kind. But in the end, Lando was the one who went too far. McLaren's boss Andrea Stella stood firm after the clash. I don't foresee this incident changing our approach. If anything, it reinforces that our rules demand more caution. That's team speak for, We won't babysit, but don't expect us to clean up your mess either. Brundle, like many, respects that racing-first approach, but he also sees a pattern. Lando broke the one rule: don't hit your teammate. And there's a bigger issue brewing for Norris. He may be spectacular, but he's been inconsistent. The numbers don't lie. A 45-point swing has flipped the title momentum from Norris to Piastri. Despite having the pace, Lando's mistakes are costing him, and the championship isn't going to wait. He won't win a world championship unless he can stop these weekends happening, Brundle said. Oscar's more solid, more consistent. That's what wins titles. So now the question isn't whether Norris can win races. We already know he can. The question is whether he can stay calm, clean, and calculated for an entire season when it matters most. Because if he keeps making high-speed misjudgments, like Montreal, even McLaren's open-book racing policy won't save him. What really happened behind that safety car in Montreal? Red Bull called it dangerous. Mercedes called it embarrassing. Toto Wolff tried to clear Max Verstappen's name, but Nico Rosberg isn't buying it. This isn't just about a protest. It's about pressure, mind games, and a grudge that's growing louder with every race. Stick around, because this isn't your typical post-race drama. This is personal. The Canadian Grand Prix ended under a safety car, but off track, the real sparks flew. George Russell crossed the line first, Max Verstappen in second. Then, bam! Red Bull dropped a double protest, claiming Russell had braked erratically behind the safety car fallen more than the allowed 10 car lengths back. According to Red Bull, Russell's brake test caught Max off guard, forcing a brief, illegal, overtake. That alone was a risk for Verstappen, who's one penalty point away from a race ban. But when Mercedes boss Toto Wolff brushed it all off as petty and embarrassing, he went a step further, insisting Max had nothing to do with the protest. "I'm 100% sure it's not Max," Wolff said. "He's a racer. He would never go for a protest on such a trivial thing." Nice try, Toto. Nico Rosberg, never one to hold back, saw it differently. Speaking on Sky's F1 show, Rosberg painted the whole scene. Max creeping up beside Russell under safety car, using classic pressure tactics. George slamming on the brakes, Max shooting past. And then, boom, Russell hits the radio faster than anyone's ever seen. "Max just overtook me. Max overtook me." Rosberg believes Verstappen didn't take that lightly. Not only did he get caught out, but it looked like Russell baited him into a mistake, and maybe even a penalty. That's where it gets interesting. "It wouldn't surprise me if that protest came from Max himself," Rosberg said. "He got angry. He wanted to turn it back on George." And just like that, the protest, which Red Bull officially owned, becomes a tool in Verstappen's hands. Not a team decision, a response, a shot back in the psychological war between him and Russell. Call it petty, call it gamesmanship, but don't call it accidental.